So hello everyone. Thank you for coming to this year's final event of the MIES U Zagrebu program. Croatian Architects Association established the program in 2023 in collaboration with Fundacijom Mies from Barcelona. And every year we host both EUmies Awards exhibition and several finalists and shortlisted authors from all parts of Europe. Last week we organized lectures by Georgian studio Ruderal and Slovenian studio Office Architects. Today, our guests are Oane Bogdan, the founder of Oane Bogdan, a Brussels-based practice whose project of Amal Amjahid community facility along the canal in Molenbeek has been shortlisted for the prize in 2024. Also today is with us Paul Steinbrück, co-founder of Pool is School, the platform advocating for the reintroduction of outdoor swimming in Brussels, shortlisted in 2024 also for their open-air swimming pool Flow in Anderlecht. So the first lecture is Oane Bogdan. She is the founder of, as I said, of Oane Bogdan Studio, a Brussels-based international practice for architecture and urbanism rooted in regenerative and social engaged design. Their work is known for their series of projects, mostly realized in Belgium, dealing with the themes and typologies such as adaptive reuse, co-op housing and community centers. Along her work as a designer, she has taken on, among others, the role of State Secretary for Culture in Romania and chairwoman of the Good Living Expert Committee, responsible for the reform of the Brussels Regional Building Code. Since 2023, she has served as a chairwoman of the Architecture Committee of the Netherlands Creative Industries Fund, as a board member of the Flanders Architecture Institute in Belgium, and as an ambassador for House Europe, a European citizens' initiative against demolition that combines public education and awareness raising with legal and policy advocacy. So, Oane, the floor is yours. Thank you.
I have to speak. Thank you very much. How do I just escape and then is the PDF? And then if I want the movie, I will just escape. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yes. Thank you very much for having me. We were just discussing that the number of people in the room is not important. Absolutely not. But what I would really like is at the end, if we find a little bit of time to discuss together. I think in these times it's quite important to exchange ideas. So, as mentioned, we are an office from Brussels, and actually we were founded in 2007, and since then we've been doing quite a lot of adaptive reuse projects, and I think our current office is the highlight of all these projects because we did almost nothing. This is the previous office of the social service of the municipality of Molenbeek, where we moved in, and we are very, very, very happy over there. Brussels is a special place, and it's a place where we now and then reflect a lot upon things. And actually, from the beginning, while actually arriving in Belgium, I was confronted with many ideas and people looking into our future. And our future actually was already predicted by, it so happens, a Romanian economist, Nicolae Georgescu-Roegen, who announced already in 1971 that the capacity of the Earth to sustain human population and consumption levels will decline. And then 1 year later, as you know, the limits to growth, this report of Club of Rome was published, announcing again that on a planet with finite resources, we cannot have infinite economic growth, and that this will damage our systems. And actually, from the beginning, our office started to reflect on land, and we see land as a main resources. We see all these interconnected crises that we have today stemming from resource depletion, and having land as one of the most important resources we have. We need land for many things, for ecology, for water, biodiversity. We need land for housing and the energy transition. So we have to rethink land use in order to ease this pressure. Also very important, the energy transition needs space. We kind of forget, we are focused very much on biodiversity and what humans need, housing, but we forget that the energy transition also needs space in the city. In Belgium, we have been confronted with quite heavy floodings. We are very much aware, everyone in Belgium is today aware of the importance of having enough open space in the city to absorb the water, but also open space in the city to plant trees to ensure the cooling in the city if we don't want to die. All these ideas were put together by a committee of experts that I had the honor to chair, that was busy, was appointed to think of the reform of the building code, so the urban regulations for every building permit demand that is submitted in the region of Brussels. Brussels is a region, it's a city, it's the capital of Europe, but it's also a region, one of the 3 regions of Belgium. And actually we very, very fast arrived at the conclusion that this building code, which is thought for buildings, actually should start from the open space. So we reorganized this building code around open space and as around land seen as a vital resource, the most important one. And then, of course, we worked together with the 19 municipalities of Brussels, so with 19 mayors and 19 sets of experts. And the whole reform got stuck, so it was almost, everything was finished, it was approved in a first round, and the final round didn't happen. Why it didn't happen? Because this reform was ready right before the elections. And one of the important measures that we took was to say, look, maximum 50% of the width of the public space, public domain, should be used by private cars in movement or parked. And that was the end. Why? Because in Belgium, if you're an inhabitant and you live on a certain street, you can park your car for free on that street. And as you can imagine, this is not something very popular with people, and right before elections, you don't want to talk about something like this. Although if you start to talk to people, they all realize that it's vital to have enough trees in the city, that the city is getting hotter and hotter every year. So, also from the beginning, thinking about land, thinking about what we as architects can do, more than just design buildings, we became very much aware of the, actually 2 definitions of the word architect. So one is a person who designs buildings, and the other one is a person who designs, can design and guides a plan or an undertaking. So you can be, for instance, the architect of the foreign policy of a certain country. I went into, it was really by accident, it was not a plan. I was asked to join a technocratic government in Romania, and I went there, and then I stayed there for almost 4 years, co-creating a political party and being very much busy with public policy and trying to understand how politics works. And then my career took a very weird turn when I started to talk about land. And private ownership of land, and about the questions who owns the land, which is a very, very important question. And as you can imagine, in a country like Romania, where well, during dictatorship and so-called communism, everything was there was no, the private property actually ceased to exist almost. It was a very sensitive matter, so there was a huge scandal, but the good thing about it is that everyone was talking about this topic. So we started to talk about this topic, and of course I kept on writing about it, and this is a very recent essay that I wrote, and that has actually, it's very much linked to the project that was shortlisted for the Mies van der Rohe award, and namely, who owns the land, and what is the impact of who owns the land, of the answer to this question, what is the impact of this answer on a city? As you know, everywhere in the world, cities are privatized, right? We live in neoliberalism. There is this trust in the market, that the market knows best, right? So we have to, the market should deal with everything. So then also the city and the space in the city should be privatized as much as possible. Well, in Brussels, what you see here is two maps. Is Brussels between Antwerp and Charleroi. Charleroi is in Wallonie, is a region that had a very strong industry, steel industry and coal industry. And Brussels was making the connection through Brussels, the connection between the harbor in Antwerp, the port of Antwerp, and Charleroi was being made. Meaning that actually the water and the canal, today is a canal, was for a very long time an industrial zone. And actually there was no riverfront and nobody really cared about that, that zone. It was kind of hidden. In 2015, the government of the region of Brussels approved the plan Canal. And why they could approve that plan, a very ambitious plan. It was a 10-year plan, and it was possible because 40% of the land was in public land. So it means that the public authorities could do something. They had leverage, and what they proposed to do is to use the land in a very efficient way. To promote functional and social mix, and to also create inclusive public spaces. So it was a very ambitious plan, and just to give you an idea, we participated and we won. We participated in many competitions, but ultimately we won 4 competitions for public projects along this canal. So the idea of the public authorities was, okay, we have this land, 40% of the land along the canal is public land. Let's do strategic projects that would trigger development, and let's have a vision, a coherent vision along the canal. So they organized many public competitions. If we won 4, can you imagine how many were organized? Because we don't, it's not that we win maybe, I don't know, the best year was like 6 out of 10. This is unimaginable, it's a lot. And one of these projects along the canal is Amal Amjahid, that was shortlisted for the EUmies Award in 2024. I have to say that Belgium had a great performance in 2024. Out of the 26 shortlisted projects, we had way too many for the size of the country. So we always compare ourselves to Spain, for instance, which is a much bigger country. So I think Belgium did very, very well. And what is this Amal Amjahid place? It is exceptionally for us, a new building, but a very special one because we had a very limited height, a very small site, and a huge program. A sports hall, a cafe, a boxing club, martial arts club, and 2 levels of childcare. So it was a competition that we won to put all these things together. And what we learned that by stacking functions on top of each other, actually we can ease the pressure on land. We can create more open space elsewhere by compacting our program. The only the challenge is then to design all this, right? To find ways, for instance, to find outside space for childcare, to find ways to combine all these functions together. So this building is along the canal. Since then, many things changed, and the neighbor changed as well. It looks a little bit alone on the side, but the context became a lot better. So it's just a building along the canal, as I explained, with the limited height, and we really had to compact everything. And like we always do, for us, every project should have an added value to the city, and it's part of the city, and we look at the city and then we look back at the project. So, and most of our projects don't have a back. They are organized as public passages, and which is what we've done here. And it works so well that now the municipality of Molenbeek, which was the client, they decided to close to put a sign saying this is not a public passage because people were crossing this building a lot, which was the point of the design, the main point of the design. So we designed this passage on multiple levels, also giving access to the childcare, and this was the one of the highlights, let's say, of the project. Also designed, you have to imagine the budget was extremely small. We did what we could with a limited budget. So basically, the structure is also the finishing and if there is anything that these arches, they play a structural role. This signage is also done to as if it was a street, but we also put a lot of care into it, again with the minimal budget to make it very respectful and dignifying space. And we studied a lot to find the right way to organize this passage that was so important. But it worked. It worked very well. And then transparency, always trying to make very porous buildings so that you can see through the cafeteria in the sports hall. Everything we've done was to have a very robust building that would not that would be very low threshold, where people could just linger around and go from one function to the other. As you can imagine, having a sports hall half sunken, half above ground requires a very special structure, because you can't have columns in the middle of the sports hall. So this was quite a challenge to organize the structure. So the structure determined a lot the project. We also worked together with a structural engineer from the beginning. And the great thing is that we also managed to transport this structure, which is 2 levels high, on water from Charleroi, from the Wallonia, this region, by boat, yeah, it was quite an achievement, I have to say. You see how we really carved the volume to manage to get also outside space, to manage to get the 2 levels of childcare, to manage to get the martial arts and the boxing club, and then the sports hall and the cafeteria. To put them all together, and this is a playground for the childcare, and this is this passage that goes through the building, and then a lot of research on the precise shape structurally of those arches, of the openings in the wall, in one of the main supporting walls, and then a lot of research on how can we close this gallery without seeing that it's closed. So actually you cannot jump over it. There is a net, but this net was a lot researched so that nobody can cut it, and that is strong enough so that everyone can see very well inside the sports hall. Modularity, as we all do. And then a lot of care on this cafeteria, this cafe that would just make the link between the city and the sports hall, and where people could wait for watch a game in the sports hall. It works quite well because you have families that come with, they have children of different ages, and they all do another activity, and they all use this passage, which is actually, we always saw it as an outside space or not heated space in the building. So here we are on the highest level, for instance. It is a very special place. The name of the place was chosen by the inhabitants of the municipality of Molenbeek, and it has also a social role. The vision of the center is that sports, through sports, you de-radicalize youth. So to concentrate the energy on the right thing, on boxing, for instance, on martial arts, this is the aim of this center. This is an outside space on the first level. So here we are 1 level higher than the city. Through the windows we see the city outside, and the city sees us also, especially in the evening. A lot of search for space, always, like creating elevated playgrounds for children. And this is where everything comes together. So here we are 1 level above the city, playground. You also get light, enough light inside. So it's really a lot of work to carve all this. And here you see the childcare. We could not take pictures, of course, with children, although we like very much pictures where people are present. But here you see the structure and the dialogue between the structure and the building. And we had this idea to actually make a film, to make a movie about the structure. So this is not a movie about architecture, it's about the achievement of the people who have been working on this project. that we like very much. And I leave you with this.